Thank you, Can Corla. And first of all, can I too congratulate Minister Fleming on his new appointment and wish him well. Now, I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to speak on this Sinn Féin motion, which concerns the specific difficulties and challenges faced by the taxi industry due to COVID, and crucially, Minister, to agree with many of the proposals which I believe will help the industry to survive in the short term and, crucially, to be sustainable in the longer term. Now, we've already heard the stats from many deputies, but it is worth reiterating the fact that there are approximately 20,000 small public service vehicles registered with the NTA in 2020 and approximately 26,000 qualified drivers. In the constituency that I represent, there are 153 taxis and hackneys in Sligo, 52 hackneys and taxis in Leitrim, 307 in the whole county of Donegal, and 105 in the whole county of Roscommon. And don't worry, Deputy Pringle, I'm not suggesting I represent all of those taxis, just the ones in the south of the county. But the reason that I quote those figures is to emphasise the size of the industry, the numbers of people who work in it, the numbers of families who rely on it to pay the mortgage, its importance in providing public transport for all, and especially accessible transport, and the contribution it makes to the state, paying taxes, VRT, road tax, licences, etc. A taxi is not just a man or woman with a car for hire. It's an essential service. It's a business to support families and a significant contributor to the economy of the country. Now, the taxi industry virtually collapsed from March to June. It recovered, depending on the part of the country you were in, maybe 20–30% of its former revenue during the summer. But now, according to many taxi drivers I've spoken to, when the summer is over and the staycations are largely over, the business is diminishing again. And also, while I'm happy to see the safe reopening of wet pubs, this means people will be able to socialise locally and not have to travel to larger towns to go to a restaurant, etc. And that will impact on the taxi business. The chauffeur industry is virtually non-existent. It's down 98% in revenue since 2019, and they represent about 10% of the industry. They rely on corporate, on leisure and on tourism visitors to Ireland. There's no business, none. Taxis and cars are locked up and parked up. Now, the proposals in this motion, if implemented, would make a real difference to the taxi industry. Many deputies have spoken about the moratorium on issuing new taxi licences during the pandemic. The Minister didn't, I think, agree with this, but it makes economic sense. I don't see any downside to this, and it would give people in the industry a tiny little bit of certainty about their future. We are also asking for a 2-year extension for vehicles that would normally have to be replaced in 10 years, where, of course, the vehicles in question are assessed as roadworthy. Now, I listened to the other minister earlier, when he argued against this proposal, and I do understand that there is some flexibility shown by the NTA. However, 2 points. The losses being incurred by everybody in the taxi business are ongoing and mounting. So when the effects of the pandemic are lessened, and we don't know when that will be, they will spend years and years trying to make up their losses. They're not starting with a clean sheet. And as the Minister mentioned, there's loan schemes and there's credit guarantee schemes, and that's great with cash flow. But surely he has to realise that those loans have to be repaid. The reality of business is, if you don't make a few pounds, you go to the wall. A €6 taxi fare here, an €8 taxi fare a few hours later, that's the reality for many in the business. So the idea from the Minister that a 6 to 9 month extension to the 10-year rule will be sufficient simply ignores the reality of the crisis that this industry faces. Finally, Minister, the taxi sector needs sector-specific support. Rates break rightly for other businesses. Maybe that could be mirrored by a VRT rebate, depending on the age of the cars. So, Minister, can I finally say, this motion provides a very reasonable and a very credible template for action, and I am happy to support it. Thank you.